Hey nerds, this is Pam coming to you from Stationery Nerd. Welcome to the new year. I want to talk to you a little bit about how I honor the word of the year that I choose each year and how I incorporate that into my bullet journal. So this is actually my 2018 spread where I have the beginning cover page and then also my word of the year. For 2018, I actually pulled my Explore and Be Present was my 2017 phrase, and I wasn't really finished with that yet, so I pulled it in to the beginning of this year. So stewardship was my word for last year, and all I did was I typed it up in a pretty font, a little bit about what it means to me, and printed it and then glued it onto a piece of scrapbook paper. And you can see it's just paper that's glued right onto the page. And then I just continued with my regular spreads. You can see actually that this is not at the beginning of my journal because January 1st didn't happen at the beginning of my journal. It happened when I was about, I don't know, 3/4 of the way through. So I just continued using it, turned the page, put in the 2018, turn the next page, and we are into regular daily planning just like normal. And then when I ran out of pages in this book, my new journal, I actually started my first page with that same cover page, which I didn't color this version. This one's actually colored with some glittery colored pencil or colored gel pens. You can see how that shimmers. But I didn't bother doing it this way. I just left it black and white. And then the next page is, again, the same print as the first one. And then my goals for the year, and then birthday tracker, and right into my book reading tracker. So you can see that because I have a printout, it's so easy to transition to a new journal in the middle of the year, or 3 or 4 journals throughout the year, and just print a new copy and put it in, and you're reminded of that word of the year that you're trying to focus on the entire year as you're going through. This year I'm actually in a different journal. So I'm using the Tekukor B6, and you can see this is what I've been using, and I'm a little bit into this, probably about this far into it or so, which I guess technically with the number of pages that this journal has, that's not very far. This B6 Tekukor, so let's first take a look at the difference in size. And so this is a regular A5, and you can see the difference. Maybe you can't see the difference because black on black. Here, let's grab this Scribwell. This is the Scribwell, and this is a true A5, and so you can see the difference in size here. Just about, here, let's just measure it. I have a ruler. So we are at about 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters narrow, and about 3 centimeters shorter. So you can see the difference in size. As soon as I got this journal in the mail, I knew that I was in love, and I started using it right away. So this is the brand new B6 Tekukor, which is the same brand that I use for my other bullet journals. The difference though is this has Tomoe River paper. So if I can get this to go in here, I'm just going to tuck this back here so it's out of the way. And I do have a little pocket with my stencil in there that I use. This is Tomoe River paper, which is a Japanese paper. Super thin, kind of feels very much like Bible paper, maybe a little bit thicker than that, but it is a beautiful paper for fountain pens and it takes watercolor so beautifully. Now this is very thin paper, so when you have, let me just find a page here. So when you have writing on one side, you can actually see the ghosting of it on the other side. So I've been using a very, very thin, you can actually see like up here along the header on that, you can see that it's kind of ghosted because I used a heavier pen, but here it's not so bad because I use a super narrow nibbed pen, and I'm just using the Pilot High Tech Miyaka, which is the 0.38 needlepoint tip, and this works really well with not ghosting on that paper. So but let's take a look at when you add a little bit of watercolor to the page. Just trying to find something that's kind of inked heavy. So here is a weekly spread that I did the end of November, and I just added a wash of watercolor, and you can see that you can't see any of the writing onto the other side. So once you add a wash of watercolor, it is virtually, you basically can't see anything from the other page. Okay, so this is the journal that I'm going to use for 2019. At least this is where I'm going to start for 2019, and because you know me, I like to try them all. So I am going to, this is the page that I have reserved for my word. I'm not going to write it because, you know, I have really terrible handwriting. So I am going to do a printout. Now, I have in my shop this year, Printable Word of the Year, personalized printable word of the year. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more, but here's my word. It is pause. I'm going to work really hard this year on stress management, and what this means to me is it's the intentional inaction between hustle and exhaustion, and it's a momentary break in action, a rest for a moment, or resting in the moment, and to linger for a time. So this is what I'm going to work on this year, and I printed 2 copies of this. So as I said, these are available in my shop at stationarynerd.com/shop, and you can personalize these. Actually, the way that it comes is it comes blank like this, and then you tell me what your word is, you tell me what it means, maybe a favorite quote, and then I will put that together for you, and you print it at home, and then you can add it to your journal, and you're able to print it as many times as you need to. Or if you don't want me to add the words, you can just order a blank designed background. So these are all designed as A5, but I knew that I was in B6. So what I did was I reduced the size of the print itself, and I'm not sure which size I'm going to use, so we're going to cut them both out and then figure it out. One is printed at, shoot, I can't remember, 80% and 70% or 65%, but I just played around with different percentages until I got what I was looking for. Okay, so we're going to cut. We're going to cut them both. This is the larger and this is the smaller. And you can see here at the top I have little crop marks. So it's just a matter of grabbing a ruler and X-Acto knife, and I'm just going to cut right inside. And I'm not going to go all the way to the edge of the paper. I'm just going to cut right there in the middle, and then line it up just to the inside of the line, oops, and then cut. And then once you have that done, you just snap this out and clean up that little bit with a pair of scissors. No big deal. I probably just didn't push hard enough. And so there's your cut. All right, so this is the larger of the two that I did. I'm gonna cut out this other one as well. Okay, so there we go. We've got two different sizes, and I'm gonna just lay them in there. Let's just put this away because I know myself and I would end up stabbing myself. So we have the journal, and you can see that I've already obviously added a wash of watercolor, watercolor there, just because I knew that I wanted it to blend in with the edge. The other option that you have, of course, is to choose some scrapbook paper, maybe something in a contrasting, maybe even something in a contrasting color, and add that to the journal. But I'm just gonna, we're gonna show that to you in a little bit. So which one? I think I like the smaller size better, and I can still read the text really well. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna set that aside, and I'll do something else with this. Maybe I'll actually frame this and put it on my desk at work as a reminder. So the other thing that I did was I took a blank version of this same design and made a 2019 print. So these two side by side will look nice together. All right, so I'm a little stickler about rounded edges, so I'm going to round the outside two edges and leave the inside ones just square. You guys, this is the most awesome corner rounder that I've ever owned, and believe me, I've owned a bunch because of my scrapbooking days. You can round to small, medium, or a large, so 3 different sizes. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I was watching a video by John Rush on YouTube, and he recommended this and said it was the best that he had used, and I gotta tell you, I ordered it right away and I totally agree with him. So great purchase on my part. Came from China, slow boat from China, so it took forever to get here, but it was worth it. So I'm just going to stick it in, and I'm going to round those edges. So that looks much better. I don't know, maybe I'm gonna change my mind. Let me just try this one. Yep, I'm gonna change my mind. I'm gonna go with the larger. Okay, so luckily I have both here. So I'm just gonna round these corners as well on the outside edge. And it's so easy, you guys. So just cut out the pieces, and then you just take some double-sided tape. This is what I'm gonna use right now. Normally I actually use this, but I'm out of tape and I just haven't refilled it, and I'm being lazy, so I'm not going to do it. But this is the Scotch ATG 714. I've had this for a dozen years. I don't know, maybe more. It's got a crack in here, but man, this thing is a workhorse, and the adhesive for that is so cheap. So anyway, I'll link that in the description below. Nowadays you can get a pink one. Back in my day, it was red or nothing. All right, so I'm just going to take some double-sided adhesive and So I'm just going to line it up with the edge of the paper and then slowly press it down so that I don't get any wrinkles. Okay, that looks so good. Okay, so now let's do the other side. And making sure to get the edges really well. If you go off the side of the page like I just did, you're going to have to go back and clean it up before you put it in your book. So it did. So I'm just going to make sure that the stickiness is not on the front side, because that would be a mess. Okay, so then put your book this way, and I'm going to line the edge of this paper up with just over the edge of that line of dots, and then center it between the top line of dots and the bottom of the line of dots. I'm just going to press the edge first and then slowly work my way down so that it presses in all the way. And that's it. This is my cover page for 2018, and it reminds me what my word, or 2019 I guess it is, and it reminds me what my word is. Now the other thing that I like to do is add a little bit of washi tape along the edge, and I'm just going to pull, I think I want to pull my yellow. So something very simple, and I think I'm just going to use this plain color. And I want it to be along the edge of both of these pages, just so that it's easy for me to grab hold. And I'm just going to hit the edge of it. And then that's it. Don't you love it? Oh my goodness, you guys, this is so gorgeous. So put my washi tape back, and how does it look? I love it. Okay. So let me show you next some options for how to use the word of the year in a different way. So I wanted to show you that this same printable actually works. I've already cut this one. So this is a Tekukor as well. Look, I'm such a Tekukor fangirl. So this is the A6. This comes in a 2-pack, so it's a really great deal. And I cut this down to about 25%, because what I did was when I selected my print menu, I just had it go 4 up on a page, so 2 across, 2 down, and then I cut them apart. And then I have already selected a piece of scrapbook paper to go under. So this is actually my swatch book, so it's not really my planning book, but you can see that adding this to the page, and of course I would round these corners because, you know, I gotta do that, and then round these corners. And it doesn't really matter what the scrapbook paper looks like. I mean, this just happens to be a beautiful piece with a very subtle design on it, but here we go. It's just, I'm gonna go ahead and put that down because I like it and I want to keep it. Actually, that was almost my word. Stillness was almost my word, except I used the word pause instead. It felt more like an action word to me, pause rather than stillness, so I wanted to use that as my word instead. So this one's actually cut almost exactly the same size as the paper, and then do the same here. Clearly I cut that crooked, but we're just not going to tell anybody. And I think I just ran out. Is there really none left anywhere? Oh, here we go. I'm not sure why that one's blue and this one's clear, but it's there. Okay, so you can see just adding a pop of color underneath the printout just makes it look so much more finished. I love it so much. Of course, just having it on the white background is good too, because then it just kind of blends into the background. So let me know if you have any questions, or if you have chosen a word for the year. Why don't you drop that down below and let me know what your word is. Tell me what it means to you, and what you are going to do with it this year. Maybe even tell me what journal you're using. So anyway, that's what I've got. I will talk to you later. Bye, nerds.